Yes, sir, we're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Soap Studio, the Dark Knight Trilogy movie Harvey Dent figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
Quick look at the sides of the box. You can see it says Soap Studios up at the top on the left flap, Dark Knight Trilogy. Picture of the bat symbol, Harvey Dent, 112 action figure. Pretty much more of the same on the other side. Let's get this guy open, see what's what. Alright, so I've got Soap Studio Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, out of the package. This is the 6th figure from Soap Studio that I have reviewed. I'm not sure if it's their 6th in total. Let me know in the comments below. I'll have to look that up. But my favorite so far has probably been Reverse Flash. I must say that this is probably one of the standout figures so far. And the Flash figure was pretty good. Now Harvey Dent here is, I don't know. I'm not really, my initial reaction is that I'm not a big fan of this one. There are some issues with the clothing or the tailoring of the clothing and how it fits, and I'm not a huge fan of that. And you know, I often judge this line based on, you know, other lines that have come out with cloth clothing, and probably the most notable or the most prominent is Mezco. So, you know, in order for them to stake their claim in the game, they have to stand up to some pretty high standards, and Mezco does pretty damn well. I mean, there's independent people out here doing really nice things with cloth clothing, so it's a lot to live up to. But let's go over his accessories. Actually, let me give you a quick look at that other profile. So, you know, that looks pretty good. In a vanilla stance on both sides, it looks pretty good. But let me actually go into the nitty-gritty of his deco before we go over the accessories. So just looking at him straight on, it doesn't look too bad. But as you get closer and really look at the fine details here, there's a lot. You know, there's some stitches and some strings and stuff loose. I really don't like the way this belt is protruding here in the front. That looks pretty odd, although the belt is nicely detailed and it's through the loops and stuff like that. The tailoring on the pants looks pretty good, but it's the suit jacket that really annoys me here. The way it sits, it doesn't really sit as nice as some other suited figures that we've seen. Even here on the back, this looks odd. It looks very bulky here on the burnt parts. I think they could have done a better job. The tie looks very cheap. It looks like paper. It doesn't really look like material tie or a good tie. I mean, I guess he wasn't really the greatest of lawyers or whatever the hell he was. Maybe he wasn't, you know, doing that well financially, but you know, his suit, it looks cheap. It looks you know, it doesn't look as good as I know that they can probably do here. Even the shoes look pretty basic, pretty plain. Look at that. That looks like a prosthetic the way that is, but you know, the shoes don't even look that great as far as the details and the strings and stuff like that. All of this could have been better. I am not a fan of this whole neckline and this whole area. I assume that this suit jacket can come off. I'll try that in a second. But even the fine details here on the face don't look that great. I had some like little paint smudges on this side here that I had to wipe off. I literally just licked my thumb and wiped it off like he was my child. But yeah, man, I do think that the tailoring here could have been done much better. Let me see if I can get the suit jacket off. Look at that, an even closer look. So he looks okay with just the dress shirt underneath. But look at all of these little strings and stuff coming out. I'm afraid to pull this. It'll be like the cartoons. He'll be naked if I pull all these strings. So I'm gonna have to try to cut those off. But you can see here how that belt looks. It looks like he lost weight or something like that, and he should be like sticking his thumb in there and showing you how much weight he lost. You know, that looks very odd. But you know, just looking at this body, it is sort of a nice stand-in for other displays that you may want. Just a guy in a shirt and tie or something like that. He looks like one of those white guys you see in the hood walking around trying to talk to you about the about the Lord. And he's got no undershirt under the shirt. Only white people don't wear undershirt under a dress shirt. But yeah, all right, moving forward. Look at that. It's not a hole or anything like that, but I don't want that to come undone. I don't want to have to finagle with that. The head does pop off, as you can see. It looks like the same sort of neck peg as Green Arrow. I guess all of the figures sort of had that really small neck peg, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to see when I do some comparisons here. But, you know, just this body alone, like I said, just as a stand-in and not really as Harvey Dent might work. But I'm spending a lot of time not really talking about Harvey Dent. So let's move forward. I did the best I could with those strings. I pulled them all off. But out of the package, he comes with 2 open hands with the fingers close together. He's got a set of fists, which I think look really large. And this has been a complaint of mine with some of the other figures as far as the size of the hands. And they all seem to be oversized. Yeah, I figured if I put his suit jacket back on, it'll make the hands look more in scale. But he's got a set of hands here where the pointer finger and the thumb are just barely about to touch. And that's so he can utilize his other accessories, which are his coins. So I'll break out a couple of those. He's actually got the button and a coin. He's got 3 coins and 1 button. And there's no issue with him holding those. And that looks really good. That looks authentic. I like that a lot. Not the finest detail on either of the, not the finest detail on the button or the coin, but there are letters and words and images visible. It's not too bad. I don't know if that's showing up or how well that's showing up, but. And then he's got a couple of hands with the trigger finger extended for when he makes his debut in a rap video. But no, he's got a pistol here as well. So I'll break that out. There you go, there's that. That looks pretty good. So he's got his trusty revolver. And his finger's actually in the trigger groove. So that looks authentic. I like that. He can hold it with either hand, obviously. And taking a quick look at his articulation. So you saw the head and neck was one piece. Actually, let me put his hands back on. So yeah, head and neck is one piece. He can look left to right and look down just a bit and look up. You know, I would have liked them to make this 2 separate parts, but considering that it's not, it's still decent articulation. These bucks are pretty well articulated. They're just slender. So his shoulders will come up pretty far. There's a butterfly joint in there. You can do a full 360 if you want to stretch the shirt. But the range of motion on the upper shoulder on the arms is really good. He's got a double jointed elbow. He's got a swivel, not really a hinge on the wrist. That's another one of my gripes with these particular bucks. You saw how the hands sit on that wrist, but the upper torso articulation is decent. It'll rotate and go back and forward. There's more articulation at the lower abdomen. He can turn at the lower abdomen as well. The articulation in the upper torso is really good, actually. Leg is going to come up about that far. Split will look like that. You can get his legs pretty far apart before you start to stress the pants. And there is a double jointed knee, and then you saw how those ankles look. So it'll swivel and hinge, and there's a slight pivot, and there's also a toe joint. Like I said, this buck is well articulated. He's just very slender. It's a very slender buck. I got to figure out how I'm gonna get this shirt tucked in properly. I'm gonna have to use like a toothpick or something, or a Q-tip or something to stuff this down in there and make it right. I had to fix the belt and line that up with the pants, but yeah, that whole thing is annoying. He looks okay from behind, but from the front, this just looks so odd. All right, a few size comparisons. These are Soap Studio comparisons here. So Soap Studio, Ra's al Ghul on the left and Bruce Wayne on the right. Seems like it's the same base buck for all of their figures here. Let me see if I can do some head swaps. Yeah, you can definitely swap on all of the different heads here and play with that. So, yeah, I'll be kit bashing some just like guy in a shirt and pants, basically. And there he is stacked up next to a Mezco body, so you can see how those differ. And on the right is the Soap Studio Green Arrow, whose zipper I broke. I was never able to zip the jacket back up after that, so that's unfortunate. There's the Revoltech Gambit on the left and the SH Figuarts Pink Ranger on the right. And finally the Star Wars Black Series Jaina Solo on the left and the NECA Gorilla Dude, whose name I can never remember, on the right. Actually, here's one final comparison, the Mafex Harvey Dent, or Two-Face, versus the Soap Studio version, so you can see how those stack up. Obviously Mafex is shorter, but you know, just as a complete package without you having to finagle with the suit and this and that, and your ability to actually change him between Harvey Dent and Two-Face with the Mafex version. You could swap out the arms and the coat and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. So I think Mafex actually has Soap Studio beat here. Aside from the golden hair on the Mafex version, it is probably the better of the two.